Our case has arrived. We have a DIY PC is the company, and this is a Vanguard V6 RGB. So let me just spend a minute with you on this. This is the front panel. It kind of has like a brushed look to it. It's obviously black. 2 USB ports here. These are USB 3 ports. 2 USB ports here. Headphones, microphone there. There's a power button. There's a reset button, LED button, and I think I have to double check what that is. I think that's the fan button here. There's a magnetic filter on the top. There is a filter on the bottom, which I'm not going to do anything with right now, but I am going to lay this on the side so you can see the inside of it as we're going to start to put together our finishing pieces. So here we go, and there's a protective piece right on here. I'm going to take this off so you don't have to see the glare as you're seeing right now. So there's 4 thumb screws. So there we go. And I'll take off the side of the case here, like that. This is substantial. The weight of this is pretty substantial, I would tell you. And so inside the case, you could see here that we have here's the cables. I don't know if you could see here. These are the cables coming down from the front panel that are over here, and they'll get connected to our motherboard. There's 2 fans here. There's another fan here. I think these are 120 millimeter fans. Inside you have all your pass-through locations, because the cabling will be on the other side, as you can see here. We have some parts right here. These are cable ties. I'll have to get that from the other side. And also there should be a bag of parts and some instructions. Here are some instructions. Here we go on the cabling side, so I've taken off the other cover. The other cover is a solid black cover. That comes off with 2 thumb screws that are here on the back. You can see the feet here have kind of a chrome look, and underneath here there's a filter that slides in and out here on the bottom. Here we have, it shows 2, 4, 6 SSD slots here on the side. HDDs, let me move this so you can see it. HDDs go here. I don't have any HDDs. I will have 2 SSDs that we'll put in, and I'll try to put them close to the motherboard. This is pretty solid metal. Here's where the power supply is going to go. And here's all the cabling that comes out of the operating panel. And here's the bag of parts. Comes with it. You see speaker, there's your little beep, etc. Spacer, screws, nuts, everything that you need is in here, including a set of ties. I want you to note I did put 2 RGB fans up here on the top, so now I have 2, 4, 5 fans plus the 2 fans on the CPU for the CPU fan. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put in the power supply, and then bring, you can't see it just yet, but the power supply will go in here, and then I will bring several of the power cables up here, including the SSD, which will be going here. I have 2 of them, if you remember. And this is where the board will go. You see 9 spacers. So the power supply will go in first. It'll have the CPU power. It'll have these 2 to start out, and a SATA power cable. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and put the power supply in here and the fan down. This will be the outside, and then these are the 3 cables here that I'll be bringing up through the bottom. So let me start with that. Here's the power supply, and it's in solid, and the screws come with it, and it's hard not to. It says 4 PSU. So let's turn it over and see if I've gotten the cables up properly. I think I have. The power supply is in. This is the cable I plan to use for the SSDs, and this is the power cable I plan to use on the motherboard. And I think I've located them properly, so we'll go ahead and do it. Now we're going to try to rid ourselves of all this spaghetti here and begin the final assembly of our device. Let me turn some light on for you. So a couple problems I ran into. One is the grommets, like these right here in the case. They just come out. Very poor quality here, so I would tell anybody that this is just horrible. As soon as you touch it, the rubber grommet just begins to fall right out. So that's an issue. 2 is I had 2 extra fans that I showed you that I put in the top. They're only 3-pin fans versus 4-pin. So a 3-pin fan means that it'll turn at the highest speed constantly. It's not going to be variable. So that's something I'll eventually have to replace. So what are we going to do now? Well, let's go. We're going to put in 2 SSDs, and that's the next step. Then we're going to put in the motherboard, and then finally we'll tighten up all of these cables on the other side. Hello again. I now have the 2 SSDs in. I have not put them in the right way. I know they're not in the right way, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. So this is the way I put them in. They're in nice and tight. I'll be able to take the power, the daisy chain power, and put this in right now. So we're going to connect the power and then the SATA cable. So next is the motherboard. The motherboard is in, as you can see here. Fan, fan, fan. There's 2 fans here. The 2 SSDs are here. I have the power cable, the CPU power cable, and I have to plug in the SSDs. Then I'm going to put in the graphics card here, and let's see how we do. Our motherboard has 9 holes, so we have our spacers already in. So I put in screw there and there. I'll put one on this end here, like that. I'll just put it in lightly, and I'll do that with the remaining screws. I have 2 SSDs. They are now attached to the SATA connectors on the motherboard. I have the ATX power. I have the CPU power plugged in. And again, I've not cleaned any of that up. There's 9 screws holding in this motherboard. As you can see, it fits pretty nicely. We still next have the GPU go here. I've fixed as best I could those 2 grommets that kept coming loose, and we'll see when we get the GPU in. But before I do the GPU, I'm going to go ahead and start attaching these connectors. Welcome back again. Let's see how we're doing. We have this whole mess here of cabling or wiring, and I could tell you that it took a while, a long while, like well over an hour so far. So a few things I've learned that I thought I'd kind of mention to you. One is that carefully you have to do, it's very hard to see in there, let me try to, here, putting in these small connectors from the front panel was really difficult with my hands. But anyway, that took a long time. It was kind of difficult. I think I'm fine here. The two up on top fans that I installed, I have not yet plugged in, but I will. And the power supply, if I had it to do all over again, I would have waited just a bit longer before I go ahead and fastened the power supply, because I had to unfasten it. The built-in fans, these two and this one over here, those three fans are built in. They're RGB fans, and I'll show you when I get to the back. It was a little bit difficult. I'm not quite sure I have it right yet, because the place where I put the connector didn't feel exactly right to me, but we're going to go ahead and see. So let's go around. So this is the back, so I still have to put the refasten the power supply here. You can see the single fan here in the back, and this is the mess of the wires here. And so this is the cable side of the panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix all this once we know things work. This is a hub for the fans and the RGB. There's three fans and there's three connectors here for the fans. And I'm not sure I have that connected right. I did connect it to an old Molex style connector, and then I connected one end to the power supply, and I connected another end inside to a special 4-pin adapter. So we'll see. Are you ready? So I have now connected the two fans up on top. I have everything else as connected as could be, and this is the front panel, which because of the light you can't really see very well with just the power button here. So I'm going to press that in just a moment and see if anything turns on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I have green, blue fans. The fans up on top, I don't know if you can see, they are spinning blue. There is a beep. I didn't plug in the HDMI cable, so I will do that. It's very quiet, by the way. I don't know if you can see the board. Has some RGB also. And let me make sure. Yep, both fans. So the fans are working fine. We may have done it. So I'm going to connect the HDMI just a moment. The HDMI cable, and again, I'm just using the integrated graphics, and I have my mouse, I think, yes, so the mouse is working, connected to the front. So a couple things here. The memory is perfect. It shows the 16 gigabits, but it's not operating at the 3600, so I'll have to change the profile there, which I'll do when we're ready to keep moving. And as you could see, that profile will use the 3600. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Storage. It shows all three of the drives, so that looks good. Fan I will work on. So I haven't done anything yet with the fans other than make sure that they work. I do have it looks like everything I hooked up, I think, is working. The CPU, it is showing the correct CPU. Yes, so that's fine. So again, the only thing it looks like I really need to make sure that this uses the correct memory profile, and I'll do that. Everything else is working. I think we've actually done it. It is time for the last component, which is going to be the graphics card. I have cleaned this up as best I can. As you saw, everything worked. We'll see if it works after I get everything completed and begin to load the Windows 11 software. But in the meantime, this is all ready. Everything looks fine. So the graphics card is something I'll replace in the future. It's good for now. It was a reasonable price. I got it on Newegg, and the availability was up and down. It was in stock, out of stock, in stock. It's a small footprint. Doesn't require a power cable from the supply. The power from the board is going to be sufficient. If you remember, I put in a 750 watt power supply here. So let's go ahead and install that into one of the PCI slots. Let's let you take a look at the card. Again, it's a relatively small footprint, so no problem fitting in. Ports, you can see the HDMI port, the display port, VGA port. Most likely going to use the HDMI port on this. Again, 2 fans, and you can see the connector here. Let's see if we can get it in. I've moved these cables, made them a little bit longer. So I'm going to put it in here, right there. Oh, let me get this out of the way here. And just a little bit more. Looks like I have plenty of room. And so here we go. We're going to push it in here, right there. It snapped in great, guys. All right. We've got everything hardware-wise is loaded. We have our SSDs. The power supply is under here. 2 fans, 1 fan, 2 CPU fans here. Memories installed there. We have the M2 drive is installed under here, right here. It is now time to turn it on and start thinking about software. So I'm going to go ahead and put Windows 11 on it, though at first I won't activate Windows 11. I'll make sure everything's working the way it should. So here we go. Here we go for our final piece of work. I've got everything connected, so I have a keyboard, USB keyboard, USB mouse. These would be temporary. You can see the display there. It may flicker, so I'm going to turn this light off in a little while. Here's the computer that we built. I have the HDMI connected also. The power supply is connected, so we're going to turn it on. So here we go. Power supply on, power button pressed, fans turning, everything in. So we'll be right back. Well, it booted as we wanted it to. It's actually showing the correct profile for the memory, so that's also good news. And we'll look at that in a moment. In the meantime, oh, it does show the memory speed up here. I don't know if you could see where I'm circling. It shows the memory speed where it is supposed to be. Memory size, so everything looking okay. With the graphics card I have in there, it's not quite, I don't think, ready yet. As far as I didn't download any drivers or anything. So what are we going to do? I have put the installation media for Windows 11 on here. So I have a 16 gigabyte USB drive, and we're going to begin to do that. That will conclude this video. I do have another video on the installation of Windows 11. It's a clean install. So I do it step by step. I don't want to put it in here because it'll just make this that much longer. I'll put the link somewhere in the description after I upload it, but I will tell you as of now, Windows 11 is up and it's running on this PC, and the PC's working great.
Everything running well. I've activated Windows 11 now. I went and purchased a key. So everything is really good. This was a great experience. It looks like the final cost, and I don't have all of the numbers yet, I just haven't put them all together, is going to be around 1,300 US dollars.